The devil with blue eyes is what I call him. He asked me if I was interested in modeling for him.
This guy is like probably the biggest mass rapist in maybe North American history. I'm talking about Canada, U.S. Apparently he's raped like about 100 girls. Some of them are underage, as young as 10 years old. And by the way, Peter Nygard, apparently, from what we see here, is a very good friend of Richard Carleton. That's the CEO of the Canadian Scam Exchange, aka Canadian Securities Exchange, the worst failing stock exchange on the planet. Penny stocks. Their index is down like 85% over the last 5 years. Literally, it's the worst performing exchange. This guy is now under investigation. There's a criminal investigation, which we have requested from the RCMP, that's the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, the Ontario Securities Commission, and the British Columbia Securities Commission into Richard Carleton, Mark Faulkner, Tracy Stern, and various co-conspirators who have committed serious securities fraud. And these people are, number one is they committed massive multiple acts of fraud that ripped off 4,000 investors that we know of. Millions of dollars have been lost. And most importantly, they are unfit to be executives of a securities exchange under the OSC and the BCSC recognition orders. What is that? You Google it. Links below. Okay, these guys should not be let anywhere near a stock exchange. But anyway, look, is the Canadian Securities Exchange against Muslims? Are they banning Muslims from being employed as executives at the exchange? Well, this is what it looks like. Again, we already know that they do not have any black people at the exchange. We know that hang on a second, let me bring this up right over there. We know that it is, while they claim to be diverse, okay, they got a picture of a black woman at the top of their About Us page, okay? They do not have any black people working at the exchange that we know of. This is their entire executive team, all white Anglo names, all white names, all white faces, right there, all you can see, all right? And no blacks and no Muslims. Now, what's very interesting is this. Again, in my experience working with thousands of companies, and especially with Canadian stocks, okay, working with Canadian stocks in the last 5 years, most of my clients, CEOs, were Middle Eastern, Indian, black. I think 70% of my clients were. And by the way, those were the most successful companies. All right, that's right. Most of those companies were Indian, black, or Muslim. That's right. And interestingly, most of the CEOs that I know of in Canada on the CSC, the TSX, the Canadian Securities Exchange, and the TSX, Muslim or Indian. I mean, like literally, it's at least half. Now, I have a shareholder list, okay, of a company I was involved with, or technically I'm still involved, New World Solutions, that I was the chairman of, and that shareholder list, if I look at just quickly going through the list, I would say 80% of the names are immigrant names. Only 20% of are Anglo names. So I would say 70% Muslim or Indian, Arabic, whatever, and another percentage of Asian. And then you got a couple. Then you got your 10 or 20% that are your Ians and Trevors, etc., and Nigels from Canada. So the question is this: why is the CSC, which again, these guys are scammers, these guys are woke grifters, they're racist. Why are they racist? Because this is what racists do. They all virtue signal. They tell you, oh yeah, I love blacks, I love we're diverse. But where do they send their kids to school? Where do they live? What neighborhoods do they live? Okay, they send their kids to white schools, very white schools. They live in very white neighborhoods, but on social media, they all virtue signal that Black Lives Matter, all this stuff, right? Free Gaza, all this stuff. All these people are constantly virtue signaling. Now, what we see here is the proof that this is not a diverse exchange. But here's what's interesting. This is the thing. Okay, this is the thing that's actually quite serious. Okay. Again, in Toronto, probably 70% of the population is, I don't know, I think maybe not 70, maybe 60% is Middle Eastern, Muslim, for sure. Everybody in finance, for sure in finance. By the way, I'm being sued by their law firm for defamation. Half the names on these emails are Arabic names. The accountants are usually at these firms are Arabic, Middle Eastern, Indian, whatever, right? Why is it then that the CSE does not have anybody from those communities in their executive team when that's half of their shareholders? Literally, half of the investors on the CSE are Middle Eastern, Asian, Indian. Okay, Middle Eastern, Indian. Maybe you could put them all together, basically, right? They probably don't want it. They're probably insulted, but you know what I'm saying, right? If you're talking about companies in Vancouver more, then it's more Asian, like Chinese, etc. But that's the reality. So basically, what you have is this: you have this exchange controlled by Mr. White folks over there, Mr. Pimp, the cannabis pimp, the so-called. By the way, this is the guy that is the self-proclaimed king of cannabis, drug dealer. Okay, this is the Nicolas Maduro of Canada. Okay, this is the #1 drug dealer on the planet. Why do I say that? Well, because he's got probably half the companies on that exchange are companies that are involved in marijuana, psychedelics, and now I think it's cocaine or whatever the new drug is. Basically, the Canadian Exchange has made a business of listing companies that are selling narcotics that are illegal in the U.S. that would get you thrown in prison. And by the way, this guy over here, he should be banned at the U.S. border. He should be banned from entering. We're going to be filing a complaint very shortly to have this guy banned because he is most likely lied when he's entered the country, because you have to state the purpose of your visit. And the purpose of his visit was to promote investment in companies manufacturing and selling narcotics. That's the facts. Those are the facts. He spoke at all these cannabis conferences, different drug conferences. So yes, this guy is the #1 drug dealer, okay, which is, by the way, haram. It is 100% haram, okay? And by the way, he's a big drunk. He's a big drunk. He loves to drink. This guy's a big drunk. As you can see, all these guys love to drink. Look at these haram people here. These kufirs. We got a bunch of these kufirs. On the left, far left, is Mark Faulkner, who is oppressing Muslims by banning the trade or halting the trading of New World Solutions, which had probably 4,000 shareholders. Many, again, half of them are immigrants, Middle Eastern immigrants. Okay, so Mark Faulkner, again, oppressing Muslims. Again, you see him drinking. He's toasting. He's celebrating the oppression of Muslims. And then you see the other kufir, which is this old man. That's Rob Cook, who is he's got 2 drinks in his hands. This guy is double haram, and he's celebrating, again, oppressing Muslims because he was the one that was involved in that decision. You see in the middle is 2 men in pink shirts, which to me, I don't know, 2 guys in pink shirts, matching pink shirts. To me, that sounds very haram. This is double haram, double haram. Okay, and who's the man at the right? The man at the right is a rapist and a pedophile named Peter Nygard. Yes, he's sitting in prison right now. His name is Peter Nygard. He's waiting for extradition into the U.S. For a rape. That's right. He's basically a rapist, and he's good friends with Richard Carleton. As you see, these guys are friends. So Richard Carleton, the CEO of the exchange, who oppresses Muslims, who apparently is racist and anti-Muslim, is also friends with a rapist and a pedophile. Very haram. Okay. Now again, I don't know if he's really racist. I don't know if he's really. I don't know what's in his head. I have no idea what his religious views are. Or so I don't know. I'm just showing you what you can see with your own eyes. You can see with your own eyes that they have no black people at the exchange, and they have no Middle Eastern, no Asian, nothing that represents most of their CEOs and most of their investors. So let me be clear. Let me repeat this once again. In my experience, somewhere between 50% or more, 60% of the CEOs of those companies are, again, Middle Eastern, Indian, or Asian, okay? And the investors are the same, okay? Maybe even more. The investors in most of these companies are mostly immigrants, again, Muslim, Asian, Indian. That's probably 80% of the Canadian investor market. And these guys basically are taking advantage. They're exploiting these immigrants. Okay, they're just like the way Canada exploited the natives when they arrived. Okay, just like when the British exploited the natives of Canada, what are they called, the First Nations or whatever, the British colonizers. Okay, so these guys are all colonizers. Every one of those white faces is a British colonizer. Okay, they're all descendants of colonizers who oppressed the First Nations and genocided the First Nations. Okay. And there we go. So, by the way, let's go back to haram over here, which is, again, you see this guy with the rapist on the left, and that's the guy who's raped young girls as young as 10 years old. And the guy on the right is the CEO of the Canadian Scam Exchange. These are all things that are 100% factual. Now, let me show you something interesting. Share this. Okay. By the way, on this page, hang on a second. Let me show you something boring right now. This is the page. This is the page from the U.S. Justice Department. Okay, let's go to that. And this is the United States versus Peter Nygard. Okay, this is the indictment of Peter Nygard for rape and pedophilia. Okay, and let's just read what it says here. Let's just read what it says. By the way, this guy's been known as a rapist for many years. He's been known for at least 40 years, 50 years. No, 60 years, 50 years in Canada. He was known to be basically he had a reputation, a questionable reputation. Let's just say that, okay? He had a very questionable reputation with women, okay? This is very questionable. So this guy, Richard Carleton, should have known that. Okay, so here's what the U.S. Justice Department says. At all times relevant to this indictment, Peter Nygard, the defendant, and others known and unknown, including employees of the Nygard Group and Company, used influence, resources, and influence to recruit, entice, transport, harbor, and maintain adult and minor-aged female victims for Nygard's sexual gratification, and on occasion, the gratification of Nygard's personal friends, business associates, by, among other things, sex trafficking, interstate and international transport for purposes of engaging in prostitution and other illegal sexual activities and related offenses. Nygard and others unknown, including employees of the Nygard Group, used force, fraud, coercion to cause women to engage in commercial sex with Nygard and others, and to remain with Nygard against their will. Nygard and others known, including employees of Nygard Group, engage in obstructive conduct aimed at preventing witnesses from reporting Nygard's sexual crimes. By the way, if you read this, this sounds exactly like what we're experiencing right now with the CSE. So again, these guys committed multiple acts of fraud, okay, with regards to New World Solutions, getting that stock halted, getting yours truly, the penny stock detective, banned from the exchange under false pretenses and totally fraudulent, by the way, which we show. And then they're using lawsuits. They're trying to intimidate me with their big law firm, Norton Rose, and their sassy attorney, okay, the gerbil stuffer. They're trying to intimidate me. Again, this is one of the world's biggest law firms. They're trying to sue me for defamation, basically because I've been exposing their fraud that they did. Again, why would I file a criminal investigation request with the RCMP and the OSC with real details, which, by the way, I didn't come up with. This is my lawyer who came up with it, Jovan Narwal, King's Counsel. That's right. He's got the King's Counsel designation. That's a serious lawyer. Okay. And he wouldn't put that stuff in there unless we had, the smoking gun, which we do. And by the way, you know what? Let me show you. I'll just show it to you right here. There is the smoking gun, by the way. Let me just show it to you just in case. Again, this is the fraudulent document that Mark Faulkner used. He created this document to get me banned from from being associated with the company. And by that, he got the company halted. So once he got me out, then the company was halted. That basically, you kill two birds with one stone. Now, how did he do that? He did it by claiming that the exchange banned me a year earlier, but did not bother to notify me. Have you guys heard of this? In other words, he is saying that they banned me a year earlier, but they never bothered to notify me because, I don't know, whatever. Again, this is 100% haram. This is typical, stuff that you see these kufirs doing. And further, so you got the document is 100% fraudulent. How do we know? We got a forensic investigation. Here's the metadata that shows you that this document was created literally a year later, more than a year later. Literally, this document that he says was done in 2024 was done about 11 months later. And furthermore, he references activity. He references my alleged social media posts on a website called CEOCA. The problem is, I had never posted on that site at the time this letter was written. So I was never active on that site at those dates. So in other words, I only started using that site, much later in 2024, like after the guy decided to ban me. So this was way afterwards. Again, all the evidence he came up with, this alleged evidence, was all fabricated. It was all done. It's all after the fact stuff. The guy's a dirty cop, okay? He's a dirty cop, and he also probably hates Muslims, okay? He probably will plant evidence in your car to say that you're a terrorist, to have you deported. He'll probably plant I don't know, C4, explosives or whatever, in your car, at your mosque, so that you get deported. So listen, I would say to all my brothers, my Islamic brothers, you need to rise up and protest these kufirs. Alhamdu Allah, you'll be victorious. And I suggest everybody go to the Canadian Securities Exchange offices, which is at, where are they located? 100 King Street, 100 King Street, okay? They're located at 100 King Street. Let me pull this up. And they should have a prayer there. I think there should be a prayer, okay? Everybody should get down and pray to Allah, praise Allah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar.